everybody, and warm welcome to my channel, Tarot by Izabela. I am very happy to see you here today, and I hope you're all doing great. Today's video will be a reading about Rasputin, the mystical hero from the Romanovs court. And to do this reading, I'm going to use my crystal ball, my tarot cards, they are here somewhere. Here they are, Oracle cards and some dice. But before we begin, I must thank you all, you wonderful viewers, for all of your support to this channel. All of your mails, your comments, your coffees, your sharing, your caring is so tremendously helpful, and it really gives a lot of strength to continue doing more videos for you. So I'm very, very grateful. Thank you so much. And I also need to mention that please be careful for scammers out there. I only have this channel, Tarot by Izabela, and I don't have any other channels like the fake Tarot by Izabela podcast that steals my videos. Sometimes I do some collaborations with Richard Cardinal on Richard Cardinal's channel, and with Gary on Gary's Alternative Interaction. And you will not be able to find my videos anywhere else. And that is important because there are some scammers out there pretending to be me. And I only have this channel. And the same goes for Telegram group. I only have one Telegram group, and the link to the Telegram group you will find it down in the description. Yeah, now, what about Mr. Rasputin? In front of me, I have facts about Rasputin. Well, it looks like a lot, but really they are just... I have cut them down a lot. There is much more information about Rasputin online, and I have attached down in the description box some links where you can find more information about him. And there are videos made about him. You can also find those videos on YouTube. And the movies and even music. So Rasputin is still quite famous. Even that it has passed more than 100 years, 110 years that he died. But anyway, I want to read those facts first about Rasputin, and after that I will use my crystal ball and cards to see if the crystal ball and cards have something they want to add to Mr. Rasputin, and to see what about him. And as we know, our history has been tampered with all the time, and many times bad guys has turned out to be good guys, and good guys has turned out to be bad guys, depending on who wrote the story, his story. But anyway, this is what I could find online. If it's true or not, I cannot say. But it will give you some information about Rasputin. Anyway, so now let's start with the facts about Rasputin. And I need my glasses, so let's begin. And to all the Russian-speaking people, I'm sorry if I cannot pronounce the names or the Russian words correctly. I don't speak Russian, but hopefully you will forgive me for that. So let's start. Grigory Rasputin was a charismatic Russian monk who became a powerful figure in the court of Tsar Nicholas II before the Romanov dynasty was swept aside by the Russian Revolution of 1917. He was the son of a peasant, born in the small village of Pokrovskoye in Siberia. Rasputin joined a monastery as a novice at the age of 16, and he married in 1887. His wife, Praskovia remained in Pokrovskoye throughout Rasputin's later travels and rise to prominence, and remained devoted to him until his death. The couple had 7 children, though only 3 survived to adulthood. At the age of 28, Rasputin developed a renewed interest in religion and left Pokrovskoye to go on a pilgrimage. He visited the St. Nicholas Monastery at Verkhovtruya in 1897, and that transformed him. There he met an elder known as Makari. Some sources suggest Rasputin had a vision of the Virgin Mary or of Saint Simeon of Verkhovtruya, and Makari told him, God has chosen him for a great achievement. Rasputin became a vegetarian, swore off alcohol, and prayed and sang much more fervently than he had in the past. Makari told him that in order to strengthen his spiritual power, he should go and pray to the Virgin in the convent of Athos. The convent was at Mount Athos in Greece, 2,000 miles away, but in 1891 Rasputin made the pilgrimage on foot. Later he made a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, traveling across Turkey. For the next few years he became a wandering priest. When he returned home, Rasputin turned his family's cellar into a makeshift church while still living at home with his parents in the early 1900s. His followers would assemble there to worship, sing weird songs, and even indulge in sexual activities and orgies. According to one story, Rasputin had begun to follow the Russian Orthodox Church fringe sect Chlisti. The name Chlisti is derived from the word chlist, which translates to whip in Russian. Instead of worshipping and conversing with the Holy Spirit through priests and holy writings, Chlists believe that people may communicate directly with higher power. Each Chlist arc is led by a man and a woman, who are physically representations of both Christ and the Mother of God. They regularly flog themselves in pursuit of religious discipline and the search for divine grace through sinful means such as sexual orgies. This organization was frequently persecuted and widely condemned by church authorities. In his later years, Rasputin appears to have continued these practices with his followers and even with his wife. Also, many women accused him of rape and assault as he attempted to obtain redemption in the eyes of the Holy Spirit through sin. He was widely believed to possess occult powers which made him both loved and feared. He manifested gifts of healing and prophecy. Rasputin made his way to the Russian capital, St. Petersburg, in 1903, where he lived of the charity of the well-off, to whom he became a sort of guru. He first became associated with the Romanovs, the ruling house of the Tsar in Russia, in 1905. The heir to the throne and only son of St. Nicholas II, Alexei, suffered from hemophilia. Rasputin was encouraged to try and alleviate Alexei's condition. Remarkably, Rasputin seems to have had some sort of positive effect on his patient. Rasputin may have used hypnosis, although he himself denied he had any such ability. But whatever method he used, the result was a calming effect on the young heir and his constantly preoccupied mother, Empress Tsarina Alexandra Feodorovna. Rasputin's reputation really soared after Alexei suffered an accident and seemed about to die, so much that the royal physicians declared there was no hope, and the prince's death bulletin was prepared to release the sad news to the people. Rasputin, however, sent the royal family a telegram stating, "God has seen your tears and heard your prayers. Do not grieve. The little one will not die. Do not allow the doctors to bother him too much." The prince did indeed recover. Rasputin repeated the healing in a second, similar episode, although this time he visited the prince in person and reassured him, "Don't be alarmed, nothing will happen." Again, the boy made a full recovery. Henceforth, Rasputin was a permanent member of the royal court. The problem was that Rasputin did some rather strange things, besides writing well-timed telegrams and calming the heir to the throne. And when word got out that this strange man began to receive criticism for his so-called dark arts and the obvious influence he had over the Tsar's wife and through her on the Tsar himself. Political rivalries and the rampant speculative press ensured that much was said of Rasputin that was untrue, but unraveling the mythology from real events is far from easy. His reputation as a prophet and miracle worker spread widely, and he was sought by rich and poor. In those days, Russian court life and high society were still strongly attracted to the marvels of spiritualism, which had been introduced in the 1960s by Alexander M. Aksakov, and any wonder workers was in great demand. Surrounded by the secret police, bomb plots, crippling wars, and the ruthless suppression of liberty of the Romanov Empire, Rasputin, self-absorbed in his own sense of destiny, towered above the sycophants, bureaucrats, and plotters. He treated the Tsar and Tsarina with complete familiarity, and they welcomed him. In 1911, tiring of court life, he undertook another pilgrimage to the Holy Land, and during his absence, his enemies intrigued against him. In the fall of 1915, when the Tsar left to take command of the Russian army, Rasputin took on more power as the Tsarina's chief aide. Rasputin forced many of the cabinet ministers to resign, and he replaced them with his own people. His enemies, headed by Prince Yusupov, felt he had taken on too much political power and planned his murder. The day before Rasputin was killed, Tsar Nicholas requested his blessing, and with curious presence, Rasputin said, "This time it is for you to bless me." Yusupov invited Rasputin to his palace and persuaded him to eat poisoned food and drink poisoned wine. The poison was ineffectual. Thereupon, Yusupov sang gypsy songs and played the guitar before leaving the room and returning with a loaded revolver, shooting his victim in the back. Other conspirators rushed in clumsily, accidentally switching off the room's light. When the light was switched on again, Rasputin appeared dead, but was still alive. Another conspirator shot Rasputin again. The body was dragged from the house and battered with steel press. But Rasputin was still alive when he was pushed through a hole in the ice on the river Neva. And although his wrist has been bound, he had still managed to free his right hand and make the sign of the cross before drowning. He died in December 31st, 1916, on New Year's Eve. Rasputin is reported to have written a prophetic letter shortly before his death, predicting both the manner of his own assassination and the subsequent downfall of the Romanov dynasty. In this letter, he stated that if he were killed by ordinary people, particularly Russian peasants, the Tsar and his family would continue to rule for another 100 years. However, he warned that if he were murdered by nobles or relatives to the Tsar, the consequences would be catastrophic. The imperial family would not survive more than 2 years, and the Russian people would suffer under the rule of the Antichrist, facing plague, poverty, destroyed churches, and widespread death. He also predicted that the Russian land would be destroyed 3 times over a period of 75 years by black bandits, servants of the Antichrist. And, Rasputin had 3 children that survived adulthood. One of them were Maria Rasputin. And his daughter, Maria Rasputin, her original name was Matrona Rasputina, emigrated to France after the October Revolution and then to the United States. In the United States, she worked as a dancer and then as a lion tamer in a circus. So it seemed like Maria Rasputin took over some of her famous father's abilities. And there are a lot of information about her, and I also attach a short video clip about Maria Rasputin if you like to see it. And it's down in the description. Well, it was a little long introduction to Rasputin, but still now you get a small overview on what kind of person we're going to look into today. So first I need to concentrate for a few moments on Rasputin and see if this crystal ball have something to say about it. So just give me a few moments and soon we'll start. For Grigory Rasputin. Okay, glasses on, and let's see if we can find something. The first thing I see that Rasputin's knowledge in different spiritual techniques was much bigger than recorded. A lot of those spiritual techniques were secret techniques, things you were not able to talk about or tell to anyone that has not been initiated in those magical art forms. Mhm. I see him meditating a lot, having a lot of out-of-body experiences. Mhm. I also see him coming in contact with Kabbalistic magic, walking the path to the 10th or even 11th Sephira route. Slash holy, spiritual sort of temples in Kabbalistic magic. During his many travels, he found very much peace being out in nature, sitting on the ground, eating simple food, drinking water, with connection to everything that was alive around him. And I also see him watching the omens. Omens meaning signs from nature. Could be clouds, could be the behavior of the animals. Anything that was a little bit out of place was a sign for him to go a certain direction or talk to a certain person or not to talk to a certain person. He loved his wife his own way, and even though she almost raised the children alone since he was away a lot, he trusted her and he always returned home to her. What I get here is that he really didn't want to go to St. Petersburg, but it was like his destiny was pushing him there. He had to go there, even if at his core he didn't want to. He knew that when he went there, he would not return alive. I see him having prophetic dreams, visions of the future. I see him healing people, laying his hands on them. And there were a lot of people that he healed. Therefore, he had this reputation of healer, because many people could confess to his healing abilities. A lot of people were scared to look him in the eyes, because he had very piercing eyes, as if he could see the person's soul, sins and good deeds. And he was not, and when he saw bad things, he said them. And there were a chance for him to survive those assassinations attempt in St. Petersburg. But it seems like the dark forces had their moment of success. And as he predicted, Russia fell into some very dark times with millions and millions and millions and millions of Russians were killed and slaughtered in wars and internal strife. I see him like his spirit still hovers over Russia without the limitation of a physical body. It looks like he tries to protect his motherland, the country he loved so much. Yeah. And in some places, people still worship him, some kind of saint, holy man, as other people see him as a black magician or a pervert of some kind. But here I see him like a very strong protective spirit of Russia. Let's see if we can find something more. I don't see him sleeping with the Tsar's wife, the Tsarina. I see him giving her a hug in comfort when she was crying, but I don't see any strange things going on between them. He would not go so far in this respect. He was a very tall man, and he looked quite frightening when people saw him. And the women, they saw his attention. He had like a swarm of women around him wherever he went. And I see him invited dinners and parties, and all of them wanted to touch him or hear some prophetic words. Even if he had the opportunity to roll himself in gold and riches, I still see him dressed humble, knowing any fancy silk and jewelry. Continued to, after he became famous, continued to keep some kind of no bling bling style in his outfits. And I see him supporting his wife all the time, sending financial help for her and the children. He had a young son that died early, and that almost broke his heart because he loved that child so much. And in a way, through the trying to save the Alexei, the son of the Tsar. It's like he was looking for a way to save his own son that he could not at early age. It was some kind of replacement for his own son. Or he saw his son in the son of the Tsar. I see around him there was one person he was very confident with, a man. And I see this man taking records of what he knew, spiritual techniques, magical techniques. And those records should be kept secret. They were not for show and nobody should see them. Quite powerful things. And much more prophecies was written in those records. And I see that those records exist until today. They are hidden. It's like they want to come up to the surface. It has passed almost 100 years, more than 110 years since he died, officially died. Even though there are a lot of controversial stories about his death and tomb and things like that. But those secret records that was written down by a person in confidence, they will appear, or they are already found, but soon it's time for them to come up into the open. And many of those prophecies in those records were fulfilled, and they will also talk about the times we live on today and what we can expect. I cannot say exactly when those will come up, but it's like they are standing outside the door, ready to knock on the door, so the door can be opened for them. Strangely, the question I get here, it said he had 7 children with his wife. If he was such a pervert, then there should be a lot of children around, documented children of his, with all those women that he slept with. Yeah, and I could not find anywhere in when I did some research about him, that he had children with other women. Maybe I was not looking at the right place, but still there ought to be a lot of children if he was jumping from flower to flower, as is said about him. Mm-hmm. The thing I see so strongly here is it's like he wants to express his love for Russia, his love to the nature, to the forest, to the rivers, to the fields, to the animals, and to all the good people of Russia. And he wishes that he could have lived for 100 to 200 years more, just to be close to his mother. Okay. And it's like his name will come up again in very important situations. So I don't see him as totally dead. Well, maybe dead in the physical body, but his spirit is still alive. And there will be a lot of talk about him quite soon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like he's saying he didn't like the big churches with a lot of gold and decorations and jewels just for show. He says that it's not there where the true spirituality is. Not in the bling. It's in the wood of the cross. The plain wood. And it seems like, because I see President Putin's face here, somehow he will be presented the secret teachings of Rasputin. And it looks like they will lay on his table and he will decide if they will be public or not. And it seems like they will become public. And somehow that will strengthen the Russian spirit even more. Okay, well, that was what I could see in the crystal ball. Let's continue to the cards and take some cards on Rasputin. To shuffle them a little bit. Rasputin. And finally some dice. 2 blanks. I need 2 more. I need 1 more. Here are my glasses. Okay, the cards and dice on Rasputin looks like this. Okay, let's see what we got here. In the tarot cards we have the Judgment, Queen of Coins, 10 of Cups, the Fool, and King of Wands. On the Oracle cards we have Unexpected Income, Litigation, Crossing Bridges. It's time for healing, connecting, mending, and releasing. A key and a birdhouse with birds. On the dice we have a hamburger, happy, flesh, travel, Viking helmet, spiral, sleeping, and sprouts, Christmas tree. Well, it seems like Rasputin had some savings, or there are some kind of treasures belonging to him, or his relatives, could be children, grandchildren, and so on. And those treasures were hidden away after his death. When a lot of new information about him will come up to the surface, there will be some kind of litigation. Who is his relative or not? Who belongs to his bloodline or not? So there could be some kind of DNA testing, some kind of judgment court cases. Who is true blood relative to him or not? So there's a lot of people will try to claim that they are the last heirs of Rasputin, especially when this treasure or some kind of fortune will be revealed. It seems like Rasputin has crossed the bridge, the spiritual bridge, and he is at peace now. He's close to his loved ones. And he knows who is his heir, who belongs to his bloodline or not. And it looks like even though he has found peace where he is now, he still will travel, not in flesh but in spirit, to his heirs. So whenever that information about the treasure comes out, so the right person will get that fortune. And those secret writings or secret information and knowledge that has been written down, his words, when they will be published or go public, they will be like a key to many things that happens today. In a way, it will calm people down, but it, in a sense that what is waiting for us, it's not death and destruction, but it's more of a happy life. The end of the so-called, what he called the Antichrist. And also I get a strong sensation here in those writings or in those texts will also be a key factor to who and what is behind so many wars and so many sufferings on our planet. It would not surprise me that there could be a lot of new information about Rasputin that will come up during Christmas time or this winter, December, January, February. We have a Christmas tree here. What was sleeping will be awake in that time. Yeah. I'm gonna take some last cards for this Rasputin reading. And I see he knew so much things that he could not talk about. And it seems like he didn't find someone that he could pass over his knowledge or his techniques to. The person that wrote down his story or the information, he was not strong enough to handle those spiritual techniques. So he was just like a secretary. He never tried to do anything but was written there. He was too scared to do it. But he promised to keep those records safe. Some last cards about Rasputin. And some dice. The cards and dice, they look like this. Let's see what we got here in the last cards. On the tarot cards we have the Hermit, Six of Wands, and the Hierophant. On the Oracle cards we have Sadness, Tulip, Great Passion, and Living Room. On the dice we have a Crab, again, a Viking helmet, and someone ringing at a doorbell. As last cards, during long time, Rasputin felt very sad. Since he felt lonely, he possessed so much knowledge and wisdom in many areas. But he felt so lonely he could not discuss it with anyone, share it with anyone. And that was like having a crab in the pants, pinching you. And he was looking for someone like student, but he could not find anyone that was suitable to handle this kind of information or knowledge. Those last cards are telling that important information about Rasputin will be reachable in our living rooms. Meaning we will be able to sit at home, watch the news, and something very important will come up about him. It's about, as I said, I saw it's outside the door, it's trying to come in, and we have someone here ringing at the doorbell. So this hidden knowledge or secret knowledge will be revealed quite soon. And it will not come here to make war. It will come here to the knowledge, to bring success and victory for humans in this war that we are at the moment. And spiritually, it seems like Rasputin is doing his share from the dimension that he is now, to try to fight down those evil forces that try to conquer and destroy all life. As I said before, information about him will in quite close future ring at our door and be available in our living rooms. Some very important information that he wanted to share with everyone, but did not get that opportunity since he was assassinated. Well, that was what I could see for now about Rasputin. I'm sure there is much more to say, but keep the time frame a little bit for this video. And if you have liked what you have seen and heard, please don't forget to press the like button, share button, and subscription button. And to all of you wonderful viewers out there, I want to thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we're gonna see each other soon again. Bye bye.